here.
No worries. Hello, Victor.
Hey, bud. How's it going, man?
Good.
You got about 2 minutes?
I'm starting a nonprofit circle in like 3 minutes. So Ricky, that was Victor Bonamia. They just pulled Kelly off of all accounts. He said the drama was too high.
Uh-oh.
Either she quit or they fired her. I don't know.
That's not good.
Yeah, I called Kelly yesterday when, she went back and forth saying she needed to talk to me.
Yeah.
I was like, please don't quit on me. I need you. So I guess they need us now more than ever.
Okay.
We got 2 note takers wanting to come in. I don't know what Read AI meeting notes there are. I'm not really going to let other people's note takers in the nonprofit circle, but I will distribute them.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be Bill. Yeah, we'll see who shows up.
Let me turn the TV off. My ears in. What's been going on? Uh-oh.
It's the end of the month. Can I celebrate that?
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
No, that's a good thing. We survived another month. Always a bonus, yes?
Yeah. It's almost the end of the week, too.
Thank goodness for that.
Oh, my goodness. Never mind. I was going to say something, but I probably should not. Where are you at today, Vince? Are you home?
Yes, I'm back in South Florida.
Okay.
Did the coast to coast thing, a little jet lag, but it's easier coming back to the East Coast, I think.
Yeah.
I don't travel near as much as Scott does, though. Have you met Scott, Toby?
I don't think I have. Hi, Scott.
Scott's my classmate, 91 classmate. He's in Atlanta. He's with the Foundation for Hospital Art.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that. Yeah, you showed me those pictures. That's a good idea. I have a
Scott,
meeting with.
you're on mute, Scott. I don't know if you're chiming in or not.
Oh, that now I can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Hey,
All right. I've been talking all about Toby, and I was like, okay, he's just ignoring me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we do the same to Vince when he's on mute. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, if he's the moderator, he probably muted me on purpose. So that's good.
That's funny. Bill Phillips is here.
Okay.
Hey, this is Bill, just checking in from the car on the way home.
Oh, nice.
Hey, Natalie, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm right with Bill. I'm checking in from the car, but it's so great to be with all of you.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Well,
Toby,
we
I
can
realize I owe you something, and I didn't send it yet because I was traveling for work, but I will get that hopefully by the end of the week.
No problem.
Awesome.
Yeah, we can get started. Wanted to, let's see, multiple people want to join this call now.
You got to let everybody in, Vince.
Hi, Haley. Welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me. Good to see you. I'm excited to learn more about everything you guys are working on. Here's some more information.
Great. Where are you calling from?
I'm in Columbia, South Carolina, down at Fort Jackson currently.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Did you let everybody in, Vince?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
We got a handful of people and a handful of note takers. All right. Yeah, well, welcome everyone. I'm Vince Lindenmeyer. I'm calling from South Florida, Deerfield Beach to be exact, just 1 mile south of Boca Raton. And it's always 80 degrees here and beautiful. So glad to be home. We did some traveling this week and had to go through traverse all the cold. So we're glad to be home and glad to have you on the call. I'm Vince Lindenmeyer with Beacon Foresight Group. Used to do a nonprofit circle once a month. And Toby Prudhomme of Extreme Adventures, West Point class of 96, encouraged us to get these going again. So we have a proposal for you today, and we're going to speed through that proposal, and we're also going to get to know you while we're doing it. Toby, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it all, man.
All right, great. So we're going to go into some brief introductions. Just give us your name, the nonprofit that you're working on or thinking about, and your current focus. So I'm Vince Lindenmeyer. Other than Beacon Foresight Group, I help assist my wife with Sacred Activism Community, and my wife's a West Point grad in '90, and she helps people find their purpose in life through sacred activism, and sometimes that leads to plant medicine. So that just made it really curious, didn't it? The current focus would be for her to reset her board and to grow her board and do some board development. So working with and coaching my wife is sometimes harder than some of my other clients. So maybe I need to get her in this group. No, I asked her and she said no. So we have problems on the inside here. Pass it over to Toby. Please give me an introduction.
Yeah, I'm Toby Prudhomme. My nonprofit is Extreme Adventures We take ill and injured veterans and their family members hunting, fishing, scuba diving, and we run our own shooting team. The idea is to create a community environment where people can heal. Our current focus is increasing fundraising and then expanding events to states like Maine and Colorado and Utah to get a consistent annual event in those locations. And then the one challenge that I faced is coaching board members, because a lot of people would like to be board members, but they don't understand just because they've never done it before. They don't understand, like, hey, this is what your responsibilities are. And then equipping those board members to be able to talk to other people that can either be donors or participate in the program. And I'm in Southern Pines, North Carolina too. So happy to have everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, Toby. Scott Fight.
Yep, sure. My name is Scott Fight. I'm the executive director of the Foundation for Hospital Art. We've been around for quite a while, just celebrated 40 years, an organization founded by my dad, but I've been a leader for, I don't know, approaching 20 years here pretty soon. So what are we challenged with or working on right now? I'm trying to pull off a large event in the Netherlands in about 2 weeks, where we're going to paint with 300 leaders of a company there and donate all the artwork to hospitals across the Netherlands. So nothing like trying to do cross ocean at the last minute. It's got our plate full for sure. So,
Is that with, are they doing the Van Gogh stuff too?
they are. Yeah, we have a
Awesome.
partnership with the Van Gogh Museum and launching 2 new designs in conjunction with this whole event. So pretty special.
Yeah, congrats. I know it'll be successful. Haley.
Sure. Hey, everyone. So Haley Outloud, I'm an 04 West Point grad and currently in Columbia, South Carolina, stationed at Fort Jackson. My husband's still active duty, so still doing that life for a little while longer. As I think many of us potentially do, kind of wear a couple different hats. So I am working with an organization called Veterans Bridge Home, and that is a nonprofit out of North Carolina that focuses on community care, and they're kind of a quarterbacking agency in the Charlotte area, but they're expanding into the other North Carolina agencies. But I also work with, they've hired me to do something called Mission 85, which is an alliance in the veteran ecosystem between North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So bringing together leaders from these different organizations for alignment to collective impact theory, right? So really getting all of us to work together towards common goals. So I do some event planning. Our next event is with the Bob Woodruff Foundation on March 13th in Charlotte. So currently planning that. I also am in a volunteer capacity, the executive, co-president of an organization called the Strong Gay Line, and it is West Point Class 2004 nonprofit, and we kind of are the counterpart probably to our Association of Graduates. We are much more flexible and nimble, so we focus on classmate care, community connection, and honoring our fallen. So some of the blind spots we think the Association of Graduates exists, and we just had our 20th reunion, and we have been asked for the next class, the 2005, to help them with their 20th. With some of the really cool things that we've been doing in terms of classmate care with mental health and some different things, and looking to potentially expand to the Global War on Terror classes to really help them think through some of their treatment of leaders and veterans in space. So that is our challenge of, hey, how do we think about what's next?
That's amazing. Thank you. Remind me to introduce you to Dennis Gillen of Half a Sorrow Foundation in Greenville, South Carolina. He focuses on mental health and suicide prevention. And part of this nonprofit group, I'll get to the mission later, but we're also looking at expanding the nonprofit circle to those veteran-led, but also veteran-focused nonprofits. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a veteran leading it, but if they're focused on veterans. And then another thing could be first responders, because I had a first responder reach out just today about trying to get in the group. So, and they're talking about caring for the families that have lost a first responder. So, sounded pretty similar. Natalie, are you able to talk?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, you guys. I'm Natalie Worthen. I am the spouse of Shannon Worthen, class of 03, sister to Kevin Clark, class of 03, and sister-in-law to Ryan Worthen, class of 97. I worked at the Association of Graduates twice in the last 22 years, and so it's just, again, a privilege to be with you. I am the founder of Veterans Collaborative, which is a C3 organization founded in Charlottesville, Virginia, but we serve nationwide. We provide fiscal sponsorship to veteran-founded and/or serving charitable projects. If you don't know what that is, we just lend our charitable umbrella to aligned projects to increase their success and sustainability in their communities. I think half of our we have 15 active projects. We have 2 in dormancy, and we're about to sign 3 more on board. Half of them are West Point founded. So they are led by West Point alumni, from documentaries to education and STEM education with veteran-led projects across the country to you know, a fund and charitable giving opportunities through foundation support. So we set up the back end and take care of all those administrative support so they can be, of course, more successful. It's a win-win for us because every day we are about partnerships and access at the local level. That's where we believe hope happens and changes. And so we want those veterans, advocates, military spouses, and every community to have success when they want to go out and do charitable projects, and we give them the foundation to do that. But the win-win is they're usually filling a gap in their community. So that's really important for us as well. We know that the resources are challenging to find locally, and we want to ensure that they're thriving for our veteran and military connected community. We also do robust client services. And so that's pro bono. We talked a little bit about board, fundraising support, annual giving setup. So we do a little bit of that. And then we work with organizations, state leaders on, again, programs that they have initiated to drive access at the local level. How do we create that thriving ecosystem as well? The challenges and the focus is just to continue to grow. They're actually both, they go hand in hand. And so we're continue to try to bring those projects on board. And I'm sorry, I'm in the backwoods of Virginia. I hope you can hear me.
No, thank you very much. That sounds great. You and Haley definitely need to connect for sure. And I have a lot of introductions I can give to you as well. That's great. Bill Phillips.
Hey, I'm also in the car. Bill Phillips, see if the camera works. I'm driving home from my second to last day at the Pentagon and retiring tomorrow. About 2 years ago, I was approved to retire and got diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer. So I spent the last over a year and a half as a patient at Walter Reed. I beat it. It's good. It's behind me, but I learned a ton. I connected with a lot of patients and medical people there, and brought basically my network together to create what we're calling the KFG Project for Keep Going. And I'm going to provide life coaching support and respite stays for starting with active duty and the younger cancer patients at Walter Reed, but it will expand to emergency responders and adolescent and young adults. So it's pretty much anybody under 40. We're partnering with some organizations right now in the DC metro area, working together on some grant applications. But I'm basically assembling a board I've never served on a board. Majority of them haven't, but they've been part of like the healing journey for me. So that the kind of formulas, everything that worked for me, that's got me to this point where I feel better than I ever have, despite chemo, radiation, and a bunch of surgeries. You know, it basically inspire people to keep effing going, and that's using my network. So Vince's been helping me to train people to be board members, and we've got our first fundraiser on April 5th. And there's a lot of excitement and a lot of emotion for this, which is amazing, and just trying to keep that momentum going, so that maybe someday I can hang up the Pentagon job altogether and then have this be my primary job. That's all I got.
It will be, Bill. We actually speak in the affirmative, so it's only a matter of time. Ricky.
Hello, everybody. Ricky Winters, military spouse of 22 years. My husband is active duty Navy, about 12 to 18 months out from retirement. Yes, I should say he is, although it always feels like it's a spousal unit thing, so I like to say I am too. Right now, I currently assist Toby and Vince with their organizations and what they do. So I'm here to learn from all of you and to see how I might be able to help.
Thank you. Also, Ricky is recently nonprofit compliance trained with a college course on her own, and she's always learning. She's a great asset. So the overview and purpose of the nonprofit circle, again, I've already alluded to this, but we want to dedicate this group as a mastermind to support, mentor, and empower you and us. Those nonprofits that are serving veterans and their families, or a variety of those type missions. And our mission is to provide executive mentorship, strategic insights, operational support to help you in leading and serving those nonprofits. And we want you to grow, sustain impact, and achieve long-term success. And I'll explain what the mastermind is and how it works. One concept that's very unique is we're going to execute a law of circulation where even the funding that you provide to get into our group, which is just $97 a month, we're going to be giving $10 back to your nonprofit. And why do we do that? We want to sustain a law of circulation model where you are adhering to that public charity rule of 33 1/3%. And that's where, by definition, the IRS, that if your organization receives more than 10%, less than 33 1/3% of its support from general public or a governmental unit, it can qualify as a public charity. If it can establish that under all facts and circumstances, it normally receives a substantial part of its support from governmental units or general public. And as I help people start nonprofits or help people grow nonprofits, it's that grassroots support. So by giving a donation, you test the donation link, you make sure everything's going okay, you provide feedback about what the language was on the donation link. And it's just a way to exercise law of circulation. And we'll see how that experiment goes. Mastermind, how it works. We're all peer-to-peer mentoring. We solve problems and we have accountability. Obviously, what we talk about is confidential. You can say something about, oh, I was speaking with a nonprofit leader out of the Beltway and they were talking about this challenge. You can talk about general things when you're talking with others, but don't talk about specifics, so to speak. So keep confidentiality in that manner. The commitment and the contribution. I've run the nonprofit circle before for free, and it didn't work because there was no skin in the game. So $97 a month commitment that even if you're a member of a nonprofit or thinking about running a nonprofit, we're going to have times during the mastermind where we say, hey, go to the operations board. There's a list on how you start a nonprofit and pick your next 3 tasks and report back in 2 weeks how those are going. So I've helped people start nonprofits and then I let them go and they don't have a place to really fall in. And this is a place to fall in to continue to have some sort of support, some sort of backup, and some experts that have done the same task you're trying to do or have some experience or some policy letter that can help you get to your destination quickly. And of course, none of us are as smart as all of us. So what resources are we using? We're going to use the school platform, SKOOL. And if you click on that link, I can provide it to you all in a follow-up email with the notes. We have Fathom AI taking notes, and they're always very good. So you'll get notes to this, plus the link to sign up. That's a platform to have discussions, to receive information, and that platform is growing. We believe that this mastermind is easily like $199 a month value. So by signing up for $97 a month, you're allowing us to build the platform as we go. You're almost like charter members. So appreciate your patience as we grow. The automatic value adds that you get are the operations board and the compliance board in Asana. And those are free for you to copy over to build your own Asana account with your nonprofit, and we can help you do that. Or you can, we can copy over the boards and invite you to a board within Beacon Foresight Group, which is my company, and you can use the boards from there. But either way, you're offered those boards, which is a bunch of knowledge on how to run the daily operations of a nonprofit, from agendas to annual objectives to quarterly objectives to governance issues, I mean, across the board. And then the compliance board is 254 inspection items that when you grow a nonprofit or you want to accelerate your growth, sometimes you have to go back and kind of check on, did you do everything right the first time? And that's a way to do that. So we take 2 steps back to go 1 step forward, or we do that analogy that, you know, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So we want you to go back and look at those compliance steps. And we have a lot of the answers to the compliance stuff. So if you're struggling, we can get that help to you. We also have a WhatsApp channel, so you can throw in the WhatsApp, hey, I got a emerging issue immediately. Can anyone help me out with this? Does anyone know anyone in, you know, near this base or whatever? And as the group grows, that WhatsApp group will be a place to get quick questions answered or just to have some camaraderie. And then we plan on doing this every second and fourth Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, so we can afford it to the West Coast. And then also planning on 1 monthly 30-minute huddle with either me or Toby, or a peer-to-peer check-in, whichever you feel is best for your situation. We want you to have a one-on-one with somebody so that you feel like you can do a deep dive on something. This would be the time, we're at 3:25. This would be the time when we ask a member to share a challenge or opportunity, and then we all can talk about it and do a deep dive into that. We had a couple folks talk about that. Is there anyone that would want to go deeper and actually get some productivity and some feedback on one of the challenges or opportunities that they talked about earlier? Haley, Natalie, or Bill, I know Bill, you're growing your nonprofit. I know you're driving, but you may be in that nice little flow state while you're driving. Or Natalie, man, all the stuff that you're doing is fantastic. Can't wait to have a one-on-one call with you. And Haley, how long have you been with your nonprofit?
Yeah, so I guess the history, a little bit of the Strong Gray Line. They started it originally to bring Gold Star families back to West Point for our 10-year reunion. And so they just we have a book, and they did the proceeds of the book to bring Gold Star families in. And then it's really been an active nonprofit for probably two years, which, yeah, so I've been helping in that capacity. So yeah, to kind of give it the vision that it could be more than just bringing family members back to West Point and bringing them in and honoring our fallen. So we've, yeah.
Yeah, we have a gal who's helping the Dwyers with Dwyer Fire Gold Star Foundation, and she was hoping to be on this call. I do have a one-on-one with her and look forward to. They lost Steve Dwyer in the 160th crash in the Mediterranean,
Okay.
and they're helping Gold Star family fund athletics with fees and other gear for now. And they're just starting out, and they're struggling to figure out what's next. So again, I think this network and introducing folks to people that can really help them along is one of the best parts of this this circle, because a lot of you all have covered ground that someone is just starting to cover. Natalie, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I think that for us, because we were founded in 2022, and we haven't even really started to scratch the surface of marketing and really trying to be active in how we bring in projects and how people find us and how we're tying in all of our media channels together to drive that growth. So we're out and about, but we need to continue to, again, we want projects to be successful. We want nonprofits to have, just like you, actually, very similar to what you're doing, to have the foundation to grow and to continue to build their revenue without having to take the lift of compliance on. So that's really kind of how our model shapes. And so we're working, I guess, in this next 3 to 5 years as part of our strategic plan. It's to ensure the growth of our fiscal sponsorship projects, our program and services. With that, we do informal leadership training, and we do fundraising, because obviously we want our projects to be successful. All of those things. So we have been working in the last year to formalize all of that training, all of the resources that are available to the projects that come under our wing. So, lots of standard operations and procedures and processes that we're working to formalize.
Yeah, the physical sponsorship task is a big one to take on, and there is a lot of responsibility. Making sure that maybe some of your benefactors actually meet minimum qualifications. That, hey, you're pretty much starting a marriage with them, so you want them to have the same level of integrity and honesty and what they said they were going to do versus what they do, and all of that. So that seems like a big challenge, and there's a lot of issues that in the past when I've worked with nonprofits that take on physical sponsorship, it keeps them up at night, because and a lot of people get run off. They're like, yeah, I could take 5-8% of a grant and manage it for them, and they can invoice me for everything, but it's still a lot of responsibility, and many of them do it once or twice, and then it's not really their core business model to do that, and they're kind of out. They're like, hey, I'd rather do my normal programming. So very curious about some of those issues that I brought up and how you guys are dealing with it, and would be more than happy to help kind of see where you're going, and of course help you grow, because we do need physical sponsorship. If everybody's aware of what that is, it's when someone wants to pull off an event or some sort of programming and they don't have a 501c3 status, and they go to Veteran Collaborative and say, would you be our fiscal sponsor to hold our money, to be the oversight, and to allow us to carry out this project without a nonprofit? And then maybe 2 out of 10 want to become a nonprofit after they've experienced things, and then now you're coaching them to become a nonprofit. So you're truly an incubator when it comes to how they're moving along, and really at the dirt level there before there's even grass.
Yeah, I mean,
really helping them out.
It's a 50-50 because some come in with really strong and great networks and they know exactly what they're doing and how they execute it. And we do model A, B, and C under our umbrella. And so that really comes down to how you classify the entity itself. And then of course, how you classify an employee or versus a contract. And so we do that. We have a risk framework structure that every, incoming project will come through. And because you're right, it's a lot of liability, but except for a Model C, we are legally and fiscally responsible and liable for the projects under our umbrella. So there is some risk there, but we've been really fortunate that it's and our framework is actually set up where we're in those quarterly check-ins. We are constantly in contact, knowing what our projects are up to. So we're thankful for that. But we haven't really had anything that's pushed us in a way. We've had some. Not every idea is a great idea. I think you all know that as well. And so we've had some where we were not able to offer our services yet because they were just too small, or there were some things that, one person wanted to buy assets, buildings. And I said, we're not buying buildings. We're not taking on that risk. So we've had some of those things that have come up, but generally it's worked really well.
No, perfect. Thank you for that, Natalie. And again, anyone with a 501c3 determination letter can theoretically become a fiscal sponsor for someone else. But again, we're talking, and we've facilitated some of the pros and cons of doing that with a lot of cons, but it would be something, well, now part of this group, we have Natalie at Veterans Collaborative, and if someone approaches you to do fiscal sponsorship, it's like, hey, why don't I send you to the experts? Because you could quickly get pulled into a quagmire, and they already have all the tools in place to screen, to say no, and then now you don't have to say no to your best friend that wants you to be their fiscal sponsor. Scott, have you ever gotten pulled into fiscal sponsorship as a 20-year executive director?
I've said no a bunch of times, so that's about it. Yeah, I never really saw the payoff being worth the risk, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is tough. I just did last year. I did a 990 for a group out of Omaha, and I was like, they didn't pull in $300,000. Where did they get this money? And then half of it was fiscal sponsorship, and it was a friend of his, and I think he only asked for 3% of the total to do the bookkeeping. And I was like, wow, that was. But then it's on GuideStar as revenue, 300,000. I'm like, dude, we're not even near that. Like, how'd you get? Fortunately, you got $1 million grant this year, but it's really crazy how that fiscal sponsorship padded his revenue to the point that, oh, people think you're rich now, and all you did was like have the money flow through you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I would have to absolutely object to that because it's not a pass-through. When you do fiscal sponsorship, it is absolutely 100% not a pass-through. You are legally responsible for every single penny that comes into your organization, and it's a lot of risk and compliance and oversight for the nonprofit. So it is 100% not just for event. It is not a pass-through.
Yeah, Natalie, let me correct my wording. It's not a pass-through, but you also don't benefit, like whatever your percent is, like it's a lot of money that flows through the organization for that programming. And I don't know what your percent is, if it's standard or if it's negotiated based on the project. But even if you're pulling 8% from a project, it's really hard to keep your doors open and keep your operating costs paid for while all this money is moving through. And you have credit for it. So you can have people can look at Veterans Collaborative and say, yeah, you got $1 million budget, but you really don't. You're not really paying your people because you're only getting a small percent of that money flowing to that project. That's all. Does that clarify what I was saying?
Yeah, it does. And, and that's just one of the many solutions that we offer to serve our veteran and military connected community at the local level. And truthfully, its overview is part of how we increase access and we increase funding in the hands of veterans who want to serve their community and their advocates and military spouses. But also, it is the reward. If I could speak to, I think it was Bill that you had said you didn't understand the benefit. We have 15 veterans, actually, one advocate, 2 military spouses, and in my 15 active projects, and the 12 veteran-led charitable initiatives across the country serving their community. The reward for me is way, outweighing any type of risk that we take. And we, again, have that structure and that framework because of my 22 years in nonprofit development and organizational development, to be able to set them up for success and to mitigate those risks and compliance concerns. But the benefit is the fact that people get to go out and to serve and to do the mission-based work that is important to them while not having to really tackle that administrative back-end service, is what we do.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, it's definitely a much needed mission, and I'm glad y'all are approaching it with so much structure. Bill, did you have anything you wanted to talk about as a challenge? I know you talked a little bit, but did you have anything before I went to a wrap up or anything?
Yeah, I'll take advantage of the group. As I mentioned, I'm brand new. We just got approved last week as a 501c3. So more of like, I have people that are board members that don't have board member experience and trying to train them, and they're all just kind of waiting for guidance. And I'm sending info and calling and texting and trying to, be like the conductor of the orchestra with all the different pieces. Where do you find like good help, like for tasks that kind of pop up, or like social media is something that's probably the thing that's kind of, I hate social media, but I see the value of it for bringing in donors and kind of telling the world what you're all about. What are some recommendations from the group of like how to approach social media? Do you hire somebody to run it? Do you look, is there like a place to go find volunteers? Or just, and based on your network, do you have any advice on how to crack that nut? Thanks.
Well, I have an opinion, but I will open up to the group. Would anyone like to answer that?
I'll take it, Vince. I'll tell you what my opinion is. So I did marketing and advertising in the military, not traditional type stuff, but all the statistical analysis stood behind what we did. And I've owned like 5 different businesses. So the first thing that I would caution you about is doing activities without measuring your return on investment. I will tell you, I believe I've been doing the nonprofit for about 3 years now, and social media from a donation perspective is sort of like mailing things out. It's a less than 1% return. That's been my experience. And I use social media in my organization to raise awareness about the organization and the things that we're doing. So, and then to give, we also do, like, if somebody will donate like a product, we will recognize them through social media and take pictures so that, it's promoting them as a sponsor. That's what I use social media for. Again, I'm not an expert, but that's been my experience.
Yeah, I would, Toby, I think that when we look at our social media, and actually we were just kind of doing some analytics there, we waited, a little bit to kind of do that investment into our media marketing. And really, as a brand new nonprofit that just got your C3 determination, or any organization that has under 250,000 annually revenue, you're local. So you are grassroots networking partnerships, and you're out there your board is out there the same way, representing your organization and building those partnerships and those connections to be able to get some revenue in the door. You'll go and you'll create all your social media and marketing materials, and you're going to go and ask your friends to follow your page and your network, and then it's about sharing a little bit about your story. And every single one of those platforms is a different audience. It's a different audience that you're trying to connect with, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. They're all different audiences. And I'll tell you, we do get a lot of likes and things like that, but it really is from our personal networks on those media sites and our professional networks that have followed us. But how that translates into donor dollars is not very well. That's the truth of the matter. So my recommendation is to look at your board about, again, I don't know how you brought on your board, but it's generally a startup board, right? In the first 1 to 3 years, you just need to get moving and get stuff done, right? And then have them bring their, we call it the time, talent, and the treasure, the 3 T's. And you'll understand who your board is, and you have to be very confident about asking them and telling them what you need, and asking them for those types of either introductions, commitments, and most importantly is advocacy. If you have a board member that's not, especially as a startup, not advocating and bringing you into the conversation, that's where, I think the challenges could really lie with your board. But you want to get them involved and excited about your mission. Remember, it's not theirs, but they have signed up to serve and to champion your mission, and have those guidelines and responsibilities and roles for your board member from day one, what you hope to achieve together, and at the end of the day, how you're going to serve your mission and your community and population.
Excellent, Natalie. You're hired.
Leverage, Bill, sign up for Google Nonprofits too, now that you have your status.
Yeah, that's on his checklist. We're working that. Haley or Scott or Ricky, any comments on social media?
Yeah, I'll weigh in just a little bit. I think Natalie kind of nailed it about, it's a lot of, you got to understand your audience, and I view it as a long game, and a lot of your social media is important about getting your message out and developing followers. I don't see the return. If you're doing social media for the return on an immediate investment, you may get very frustrated. But I find that it builds over time, and a younger generation is building confidence in you, and you're building a track record with them that'll pay off. But I find other strategies are more have more fruit when it comes to developing revenue and income over time. But you can't discount it. You've got to evolve with it. So it's just got. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're right on. It's super important. You absolutely can't discount it. And there's algorithms that are built in the back of that as well. And so right now, we just our strategy, we're working on that growth strategy, and we have a consultant that's doing that for us. But we're just in the algorithm. We're just, making sure that we hit the things that we want to talk about, and we share the stories that are really important to us, whether it's our blogs or what have you. But something that was really impactful, number one, is where to find some, where you can find someone that can do some contract work is Upwork. There are so many nonprofit freelancers that are out there doing the work. And of course, you have to vet them, and you can see through kind of like an agency like that. Or I'm sure maybe this team has some people that they recommend. But we started with Upwork and had a freelancer that was doing our social media. And we get the matrix, and we're measuring the success of our posts and our presence. But the most impactful that we have noticed, and this is just something maybe for everyone on the team, is when you as an individual are doing a story or a reel or writing a blog. Those things that have the personal human interest and connection will beat anything. They'll get hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands of looks and likes, at least eyeballs on them, that it's not necessarily representing the thumbs up, right? And it doesn't always triculate, we don't always get any dollars after it, but we will increase our viewership and our followership from that. And the highest posts are when you tell those human interest stories, and you do it personally, not through an email, which has, like a 1% turn rate, and not through just a post, which sometimes might not even get a like, right? Even with people that like you as an individual and know what you're doing and follow your network. work because they're personal friends with you. So it comes down to those human interest stories. I thought that that was really important. Didn't even interrupt.
That's really powerful. Scott, did you have anything else, or you're good?
No, the only thing, and this is probably another discussion another day, but when you're, somebody said something about maybe Natalie did, not every project is worth it. But I had an experience with a volunteer yesterday. It's probably the first time in 18 years, I think, that I had to send a volunteer packing. And so, people are human, but you cross something new every day as an executive director, that's for sure. So
They weren't day drinking and painting, were they?
no, they were just running their mouth.
Haley, do you have something?
Haley, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it sounds like you have a working board, which, when you think about what talents they're bringing to the board and how you can engage them, what Natalie said about time, treasure, talents, what are they bringing to the table? How that relates to marketing is, you're probably wearing a lot of hats if you don't have staff yet, that sort of thing. How can you do these things? Like the very tactical things. Natalie, another option is Fiverr to get logos, marketing, some of those things, the freelance sites. Also joining Canva Pro, you can do a lot of things on Canva where you can make flyers and do your own digital marketing pretty easily for events and stuff. So you don't necessarily have to outsource it right off the bat, because honestly, you probably have to do a lot of this stuff yourself until you get a little bigger. So those are just some things that, hey, maybe to help you right off the bat.
Yeah, Canva Pro, you can use your determination letter and get a team of 5 for free, which is $144 value a year. So we'll get that set up for you, Bill. And yeah, Canva you can do a lot with, and Fiverr you can do a sprint with. The one thing that I want to say about executive directors and social media is I always cringe when an executive director says something like this: I don't really care for social media. I know it's important, but I don't want to touch it, because they want their soul not to be touched by. I always cringe because really, like Haley says, you got to get, when you're the one man show or you're just a startup, you really got to get in there and build your brand and build your vision, build your mission, because this is a historical document. People will dig in and say, what is this KFG project all about? And then, yes, what Natalie said with human interest stories, that's going to be really powerful for you, Bill. So this was gold. This was utter gold for you. And with that, I'm going to get to the wrap up slide here. Hopefully,
Vince, I just have one more thing.
Okay, go.
Please don't forget artificial intelligence, right? As an executive director, I typed an email the other day and just tried Gamma and sent it to the client that I was working with. And they were like, holy cow, how much time did you spend on this? And I was like, I copied and pasted this from an email message to Gamma, and it created its own presentation for me. Now it's about 80%, right? So, but it's just one of those things where when I first started, I created bylaws and board member responsibilities. I did all of that stuff through AI. I didn't mess around with it. So just don't forget that that's a tool that you can leverage.
Perfect. Well, hey, we did talk a lot today, and if you didn't get your brain kind of fired up to revisit some of these things, we talked a lot about board development and developing brand new boards, getting boards onboarded to your mission, and giving them one pagers so that they can start going to talk to people. Natalie had a great point about building locally for a brand new nonprofit. Thank you, Natalie. And then we moved into social media, and this was a really good primer on social media. So we're all iron sharpening iron as far as the things that we have to do on a daily basis. The next steps would be that you would consider joining the community at that link there, the school.com link, and I'll send it out in follow-up notes. And also the upcoming meeting, the true kickoff is March 13th. And that's when it would be a similar meeting to this. It'll be an open meeting. And, you always have, an initial open meeting before we ask you to join. And then we hope that you're getting value out of it. So if you have any feedback on how to make the group better, we're always open to making it better. And we're going to be here regardless. But if this is a good fit for you, we definitely want to be value added to you and for you to be part of this community. We have folks from Virginia, the Beltway, Atlanta, North Carolina, South Carolina. I'm in Florida. And then we have Ricky out in California. So we haven't grown out to the West Coast yet. We got this Eastern Seaboard kind of dominated here. So if you think this might apply to someone that they just need more hands-on coaching, for example, Natalie, I've had people where, hey, I just don't have the capacity to coach you one-on-one. This is a good group to bring someone on to kind of wrap the heads around. So what you're doing, Natalie, I hope to really accelerate Veterans Collaborative with what you're doing. Also with what you're doing, Haley, I look forward to learning more about what you're doing and helping you out in that regards. So let's continue to learn about what we're doing and then put the folks that we meet into the right organizations and relationships so that they can benefit. And then this is an affirmation because the things that we hope to do won't ever get done. But I affirm that our nonprofits are thriving, abundantly supported, and guided by divine wisdom. Every resource, opportunity, connection flows to us through effortlessly empowering us to create lasting impact. And so it is. So that finishes the nonprofit circle for this time. If you want to hang out and say any parting words, that's fine too. And look forward to seeing you on March 13th. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Haley,
Good to meet you all.
Appreciate it.
Haley, I sent you an email message. So if you wouldn't mind, I think that we can work together.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
I love this idea. So part of what, I guess, just some initial feedback and kind of questions on the concept, because I'm creating a community of practice with veteran leaders, with Vision 6, Vision 7, like a lot of people in the 3 states that I mentioned. So I guess, in terms of pay and like the dynamics of just like, okay, the added benefit of just like what I would be getting, because one, I guess I'm an executive director in a volunteer capacity. So for me to pay for it would really be professional development. I think I would like to see, but I also have a degree and understand nonprofit compliance and some of that stuff. So I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around the structure of it. I think it's valuable. I want to meet with other executive directors, but just trying to figure that out. So I guess also just Vince, your background a little bit more. I think it'd be helpful if you kind of showed, I know you have expertise in doing this, but like, what is your expertise to facilitate? Did he already leave? There you go.
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously,
I guess I'm not familiar with what your group is.
Yeah. So Beacon Foresight Group, it's a for-profit nonprofit advisory firm. And 6 years ago, as a retired colonel sitting on the couch, which Dave will be one day soon, he's going to have to find another mission, right?
Yeah,
you're going to wrap him into nonprofit work. No, but that's what my wife did, Chaplain Cynthia Lindenmeyer, which you may have recalled as a cadet. And
yeah, no, I recognize it. Yeah.
Yeah. So she said, Vince, get off the couch, go to North Omaha, and help Preston Love Jr., who's 78. He's had a stroke, and we have a youth retreat coming up this summer, and we have to make sure it's a go. And you need to make sure he does what he's supposed to do, and he's had a stroke. So I got to go to North Omaha. No one looked like me. I was drinking 3 cups of coffee with Preston. We were arguing with each other like it was Tuesdays with Maury, where I said, hey, the first thing you need is a succession plan because you can't be having any more strokes. He goes, well, if I plan on living to 100, I won't have to worry about that. And that's how our relationship started. And I plan on writing the book about me and Preston because we've been together for 6 years now, and he's had $1 million grant, and he finally started paying me. So I've used military strategy, operations, and compliance concepts to build my nonprofit advisory. I help people start nonprofits, and then I help people grow nonprofits. Ricky works with me as a compliance officer, and then I've had Toby as a client, and I've had Bill as a client, and we're matriculating some of our clients that meet every other week to this kind of circle so that they can benefit from the network. Some of the things that as a military person, I've always thought everything should be free, and I totally empathize with you, Haley. And I'm a softie. I would love to have you in the group as a contributing member and not pay. There comes a time when we just want people to pay so that they like fully lean in and have skin in the game. Because again, I did the nonprofit circle for free once a month, and then nobody showed up. And Scott Fight, who just got off with 20 years experience, he said, Vince, I really like the concept of skin in the game because you had barely anybody showing up there at the end. So I don't have the answer on everything, but I am a person that it's not like keep effing going. It's like GSD, I get shit done, and that's the kind of officer I was. So we solve problems strategically, we critically think, and we go find the answers, and we know that we don't have the answers. So that's really my perspective. And I don't really market for nonprofit advising over the last 6 years. I've done an Instagram channel where I got the wrong customers, but it's all through referral, and it's primarily been veterans or family members. And that's why the nonprofit circle for veterans and veteran executive directors is perfect. So again, I would love to do like some of those courses where it's a sliding scale. If you think it's not worth $97, but you think it's worth $37, then pay what you think it's worth. But definitely would love to have you in the group. We just have to find a good middle ground of what you think is value added to have a network or to have people help solve problems. And that's what the definition of a mastermind is, where, Scott's coming in with 20 years experience. It's like, hey, man, do you want me to pay for this thing? Or even Natalie, who's like running a veterans collaborative, or even you with a degree. So it's a really tough ask, but we also, maybe with all of us coming in, I've seen one group where we opened up the group for free to have a core group for free, and then they shut it down, and then the next 15 people were paid, but they didn't know that the first 10 people were free. And so, like, for example, I just locked down the group before this meeting, but it doesn't mean I couldn't open it up until March 13th and then have a couple people sneak in for free, and then we have a core group. So I'm very open to starting this right, where I would retain talent like you, Haley, like Natalie, Natalie's still listening. Fortunately, she didn't hang out. Maybe she is still on, but we'd love to have you guys come in because, the conversation we had, can you say that was valuable? It got me thinking about things.
Yeah, no, I do think it's valuable. I think I'm thinking about my network of nonprofit leaders that I've been working with. Just even, this is me just kind of dialoguing with you because I think it is valuable and I want it to be successful. I think, so Charlie Hall, I think he messaged, maybe you, Toby, or maybe it was you Vince, on LinkedIn. So he's a USMA 01, runs Upstate Warrior Solution in Greenville. But these guys are like quality of life and then Blake Bourne, executive director of Veterans Bridge Home, they're running long 120-hour weeks, like crazy schedules. I like meeting twice, like they don't need necessarily another the frequency might also, but depending on, which was maybe different from what Bill needs. So I would say they need, like, burnout is probably what they're struggling with.
Yeah, let me If you don't mind me interrupting you, let me, so one of the reasons I've really pushed events for us to start this, and I have worked in like 4 different departments in the government, and I have a large network. But my network, I'm challenged because I can't call on my network to help me solve a problem, right? It's kind of like social media, where there's the positive part of social media is it's multiplicative, right? So I have one friend, you have one friend, Vince has one friend, now we all have 6 friends, right? And that's the point of the mastermind. But you want the right people in that group, right? Because if you post a question on social media on like Facebook, you're going to get a ton of people that are commenting that are not relevant to the solution, but they think that they're helping you. So you want people to participate in the group that bring value to the table so they can help you solve your problems. And then each of our networks are knowledgeable in different areas. So your network is quite different than my network. So I will just use a simple, stupid example. I spent the latter part of my career in the soft community, in the tiered organization. My network, if I need something done, so here's a small example. I had a guy call me and say, "Hey, we need to put something together to help the people in Western North Carolina. I'm going to give you a vehicle and a bus that generates water. How many people do you have available?" And I told him, I said, "Look," he goes, "the first thing I need from you is I need a list of all the equipment we need to put on both vehicles." I reached out to my network that I participate in, and it took about 35 minutes for me to create a 6-page list of about $250,000 worth of extremely valuable rescue equipment that could be used by a large amount of volunteers. Your network might not have that capability, right? So we're combining networks to bring capabilities that don't exist in one individual's network. And that's the power of a mastermind, is the participants have skin in the game because they pay, they're bringing value to the table, but they're also taking value from the table too. So it's a collaborative organization that has accountability and provides value to all of its members. Does that help?
Yes, no, and I 100% understand and agree that there's value in building those communities and interweaving these different networks. I think perhaps, I guess just my feedback is that perhaps the frequency, and I know you need some connective tissue to actually build rapport between people. You have to have consistency of meetings, but just thinking about some of those dynamics, I think would potentially make it challenging. So
yeah, if you have a nonprofit leader that is, working 120-hour weeks or whatever you said, like that's, I have clients that pay just north of $1,000 a month for me to meet with them every week, and it's a full hour. It's Ricky and I, and we work with them through the operations board, through the compliance board. And what this nonprofit circle is doing is we're trying to offer the same services in a self-service capacity where, hey, you have the checklist, pick your next 3 things, and you have the WhatsApp, you have the discussion board, and we're here for you. But you wanted to do this self-serve, and here it is. And then we have other tiers where it's like, hey, if you want a weekly meeting or a bi-weekly meeting, then I'm always available, but it's for a little bit more money than the $97 a month. But you still have the same expertise, and I'm still going to answer all the questions because I've taught online for 15 years too. I have a PhD in education, so I'm not going to leave a question unanswered. But again, getting to know me and how I operate, that's one part. But for a lot of the nonprofits and ones that want a custom nonprofit advisor, I have a handful of those that I have that I invoice every month. And this is just a service that there's people that we know we can't help because we know they can't afford us, but we want to give value where there's a lot of self-service opportunities and there's a network that they can reach out to, and they can do a lot of peer-to-peer deep dives with each other, if that helps. And I'm happy to help you brainstorm your community of practice. I did a lot of research about communities of practice when I was working on my PhD, and I'm happy to really explore that with you. And the school.com platform is probably one of the best out there. And I was talking with a colleague in Austin, Texas, and he sold me on it. So that's why I went with that platform to build a community of practice as well.
So one thing I would say that Vince just brought up is, like, for example, you're the executive director you're talking about that's working 120 hours a week. No, that person might not have time to go through this compliance checklist, right? But he probably also doesn't have the ability to create that compliance checklist. So now he can task that to a subordinate or a contractor or somebody else and say, hey, follow these 55 steps, get this all done, and let me know when you're done. So the other thing that this group is trying to do is empower people beyond themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I was just trying to get a understanding for which, like, because there's obviously different levels and stages of development with organizations, and those leaders. Like the startup challenge is different than I've been doing this for 20 years, and now I'm running a huge foundation or whatever. So different challenges in terms of professional development. So, and agreed that there's benefit in overlapping the network.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to have, different circles based on what level they're leading. Because, certainly Scotty Fight at 20 years with a mature nonprofit, could he be wasting his time here with startups? So that's a challenge that I've been wrestling with, if those groups are different or not. And you bring it up, and you have a lot of wisdom. So definitely appreciate the discussion, though.
Yeah, no, I like to figure out how things work. So it's great. And I appreciate you guys doing this. I think there's definitely a need. And I really appreciate the connected community. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Natalie. Take care.
Thanks, Natalie. Have a good day.
All righty.
Yeah, I thought that went really well. Like, the thing that I would say counter to what she brought up is that she had great